Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for being here. It's clear from everyone's comments that there's agreement about the domestic recovery and recycling of critical minerals and how important it is for our economy, jobs, national security, and our energy security. With a few exceptions, most of these bills in front of us today propose bipartisan ideas to expand critical mineral recovery and recycling. And although many are works in progress and need additional guardrails, I appreciate my colleagues' efforts to work with us to get these drafts to a better place. And along those lines, I wanted to focus on three areas with my questions. One is costs, what this work does to reduce costs for consumers and businesses, how to ensure we're doing that, to the extent we can. The second is around investments, and the third is competition, particularly with China. The first question is for Dr. Dunn. The advancing critical mineral recycling and recovery work does help to reduce the need to mine new minerals. It also helps us tap into important resources that would otherwise be wasted and end up in landfills. In the long run, how would increasing the amount of domestic recycled materials help bring down costs of critical minerals?
Thank you for the question. It really speaks to affordability. When we recover a lot of the minerals within our economy, we create a secondary supply, and that will help keep prices low for these minerals and also prevent price spikes due to supply and demand changes or any geopolitical risks.
Yeah, I think the latter is really important because everything's here already, and that in and of itself makes such a huge difference. Many critical minerals are key components of batteries for cost-cutting clean energy technologies such as energy storage, solar panels, and electric vehicles. As part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, there were over $500 billion in cuts to key investments in clean energy work. These clean energy tax credits helped create strong domestic demand in the United States for critical minerals, which is essential to our critical mineral supply chain. Also to Dr. Dunn, how do these cuts hurt companies looking to invest in rebuilding American leadership in this area?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, our reduced investment in electrification and the manufacturing in this country has really, it will result in probably less EVs on the road and therefore less end-of-life batteries going to recycling. In addition, the reduced investment in the manufacturing of these batteries in the US means that that scrap is not going to these recycling facilities. As I said before, one of the big hurdles that recyclers have to get through is the lack of feedstock at the moment because a lot of the batteries have not retired yet. They're relying on a lot of manufacturing scrap. And by slowing the progress towards a clean economy and the manufacturing here in the US, it's hurting the recycling companies.
Yeah, man, I suspect we're going to see a big dip in the number of batteries being recycled here. Mr. Buckingham, last one's for you. An area where I think we can all agree is that reducing our reliance on China for critical mineral processing, refining, and recycling will reduce costs for Americans. How will these bills help increase our critical mineral independence?
Yes, thank you, Representative. And I think it's all about bringing down that total cost of production, and that's how we win, is by being economically competitive. In the case of abandoned uranium mines, being able to recycle uranium that would otherwise be discarded and have that enter the fuel cycle, is directly passed on to the consumers. And then in typical mineral processing, we're competing, for example, with ball mills and rod mills, grinding technologies that have been around literally since the medieval ages. And so by new innovations, you're going to have massive savings in OpEx, CapEx, energy savings, and that's how we win the day, is through innovation. And these bills help just do that.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, you're back.
Gentleman yields. I'd like to thank our witnesses for being here today, and you should note that members may have additional questions for you. I'll remind the members that they have 10 business days to submit additional questions for the record, and ask the witnesses to do their best to submit responses within 10 business days upon receipt of the questions. I ask unanimous consent to insert in the record the documents included on the staff hearing documents list. Without objection, that will be the order. Without objection, the subcommittee is adjourned.
When most people hear the phrase critical minerals, they probably don't think it has much to do with their everyday lives. But in reality, these materials are quietly powering almost everything around us. They're inside our smartphones, laptops, electric vehicles, renewable energy systems, medical equipment, military technology, and even the electrical grid that keeps our homes and businesses running. Without a reliable supply of these minerals, many of the products and technologies we rely on every single day would become more expensive, harder to produce, or even unavailable. That's why Representative Greg Landsman's line of questioning during this hearing deserves attention. Rather than focusing on partisan talking points, he zeroed in on an issue where there appears to be genuine bipartisan agreement. America needs to become better at recovering and recycling critical minerals here at home.